بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم. اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our study of Ādāb al-Salāt by the late Imam Khomeini. This is our second session on isti'ādah, seeking refuge with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from Satan. You remember Chapter 2 started with verses 98 up to 100 of Surah An-Nahl. And because we are going to refer to these verses again, so let me recite them again. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم فإذا قرأت القرآن فاستعذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إنه ليس له سلطان على الذين آمنوا وعلى ربهم يتوكلون إنما سلطانه على الذين يتولونه والذين هم به مشركون. So Allah says to the Prophet, when you recite the Qur'an, do isti'ādah. Ask Allah for refuge from Satan. And then Allah says, there is no control or authority for shaitan over believers who trust the Lord. The sultan, the control of shaitan, is only for those who adopt him as their guardian and associate partner to God with him, with shaitan. You see, Allah said, لَيْسَ لَهُ سُلْطَانٌ عَلَى الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَلَى رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ. Now Imam Khomeini wants to talk about Iman and Tawakkul. Two important conditions for shaitan having no control, no authority, no even effect on you. Although it may try to bring temptations, but would not actually affect you. So he says, one of the manners and conditions of isti'ādah, according to the ayah which was said in the beginning of the chapter, is Iman, faith. What is Iman? He says, وَآن غَيْرَ از علم است ولو به برهان حکمی حاصل شود. Iman is different from knowledge, even if this knowledge is a result of the best arguments, the best proof, the best philosophical demonstration. Burhan is the best type of argument. In English is translated demonstration. Even with the best demonstration, you cannot necessarily get Iman. You can have knowledge, which is a prerequisite for Iman, but not Iman itself. Why? Iman حظ قلب است. Iman is the share of the heart, is the benefit that heart has to make. And it doesn't come automatically with reasoning and arguing and proofs, etc. ایمان comes با شدت تذکر و تفکر و انس و خلوت با حق. These are like ingredients of the medicine. You need lots of tadhakkur, remembrance, tafakkur, thinking and contemplation, uns, get acquainted with Allah, and khalwa, you need private times with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Otherwise, shaitan has knowledge about mabda and ma'at. Shaitan knows about Allah, knows about the resurrection, but he is kafir. Aba wastakbara wa kana min al-kafirin. So knowledge doesn't save you from kufr. If knowledge was enough, then whoever has knowledge should be safe from shaitan. But he says, we see this is not the case. There are people maybe are very good scholars, teachers, professors, philosophers, but not necessarily saved from shaitan. You cannot find any mu'min who would be affected by shaitan. Anyone who is mutawakkil, but just having knowledge about existence of God or quality of God is not enough. So if we want to be away from shaitan's influence and be under Allah's protection, we need shiddat irtiyaz qalbi. We need to practice with our heart a lot by trying to be mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, going always to Him, doing anaba, having khalwa with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that iman takes shape in the heart. When heart becomes divine, becomes godly, when heart has developed iman, then shaitan cannot be there. Allahu waliyyul ladina amanu. If you are mu'min, Allah is your guardian. Then how can someone who is under guardianship of Allah have shaitan as a troublemaker who has sultan on him? It's impossible. Allah would take this person from all different levels of darkness towards the light. Dhulumat is plural. All different kinds and levels of darkness, Allah will take them out towards light. It includes ignorance, because the source of darkness is ignorance. Kufr, shirk, egoism, selfishness, self-admiration, all are dark. All the virtues, all the good qualities will be developed. Another condition or etiquette of isti'adha is tawakkul. Wa ala rabbihim yatawakkalun. Indeed, tawakkul is one of the branches of iman. If you have iman, tawakkul also should come in you as a fruit. And we mean by tawakkul to leave, to submit, to delegate all our affairs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's very closely connected with tafweed. So, when the wayfarer finds that the only refuge available is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the only way for him to be protected from shaitan would be being attached to Allah and detached from other things. Automatically or naturally, organically, he will develop tawakkul. he has no hope in anything or no trust in anything, even no trust in himself or herself, would put his or her trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you go to Allah with this attitude of I am desperate and there is no one to support and no one to trust except you, then Allah would give them refuge. إِنَّهُ ذُو فَضْلٍ عَظِيمٍ. Then there is a kind of conclusion or appendix here, which is not very long. He says, حقیقت استعاذه عبارت است حالت و کیفیت نفسانی که از علم کامل برهانی به مقام توحید فعلی حق و ایمان به این مقام حاصل شود. As I said, we are not denying the role of knowledge. Knowledge is a prerequisite. So he says, the reality of isti'adha is a condition of the soul which takes form because of two things. Ilm kamil burhani, perfect knowledge, decisive, certain knowledge about tawheed fi'li, about the fact that la mu'athara fil wujud illa Allah. This is very important. And iman, not only ilm, not only knowledge and certainty, but also faith, which is a matter of, we said, heart. So, you develop your knowledge through aql, through burhan, through shawahid naqliyya, through the evidence that we have received in the scriptures, in the Qur'an, in the hadith. All these put you in a very good position when it comes to knowledge. But this has to reach your heart. So you have to have it in your heart as well, so that your heart knows that no one can have any influence, no one can have any action except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everyone else, it depends on him, falls under him. So when your heart accepts this, when your heart accepts what you know through certainty, then you would develop inqita', iltija'. You will be detached from everything and attached to Allah. You will find Him as your refuge, and you find that shaitan is a robber, is a thief, and you need to protect yourself. So, inqita' ilallah, with this recognition of the risk, of the challenge that shaitan is causing, will make you mustar. You would become, desperate to ask Allah for help. So when in this condition, these circumstances, you say A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, it has impact. But if there is nothing happening in the heart, or heart, na'udhu billah, actually thinks the other way around, the heart is not attached to Allah, it's not detached from other things, and you say A'udhu billahi minash shaitan, it doesn't work. Shaitan would be happy with people that they say A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, but in the heart they follow him. He doesn't bother about this. What is important is to have the reality of isti'adha and express it, not just to express it without having the reality. He says the example of someone who tries to do isti'adha but only with the tongue is like someone who has an enemy, and because of that enemy he runs away and wants to be saved in a castle. But instead of running towards the castle and get the protection, he runs towards the enemy and says, I am going to the castle, I am going to the castle, I want to be saved from enemy. But he's moving towards the enemy. So not only the enemy is going to capture him, the enemy is also going to make mockery of him. One of the worst things that can happen is if you do something ridiculous that enemies make mockery of you. Enemies will be laughing at you. Those who are wise, those who are in the right mindset, the enemies always respect them. Even if they hate them, they respect them. And sometimes they are proud of having enmity with these people. They are so vicious that they see good qualities, but they develop pride that I am the one who is fighting these people. These are people that no one other than me is able to fight them. But there are people that the enemy just laugh at them. That is very bad. So if we say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, but we are indeed in heart listening to shaitan, we are not believing in Allah being the only source of goodness and only doer, only agent, then shaitan would laugh at us. So this is what he says at this part. Then chapter 3 is a chapter that needs lots of discussion. In a sense, it cannot finish it now, but I am going to open this discussion and familiarize ourselves with some terms, and then inshallah we study one of them and the rest inshallah in the next session. Isti'adha has 4, you can say, elements, 4 pillars. Rukn. Rukn literally means pillar. One is musta'iz, the one who does isti'adha. Okay? Who is doing isti'adha? Number 2, al-musta'adhu minh, from whom you are doing isti'adha. You are asking refuge with Allah, from whom? Who is worrying you? Who is frightening you? Who is danger and dangerous? Number 3, al-musta'adhu bih. So فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ. So Allah is as musta'adhu bih, the one that we are doing isti'adha with His help. Number 4, al-musta'adhu li'ajlih. For what? In order to achieve what you do isti'adha. So there are 4 aspects. So it's a very scholarly discussion. Al-musta'iz, al-musta'adhu min, al-musta'adhu bih, al-musta'adhu li'ajlih. Who is doing isti'adha? What is the thing for which you need to do isti'adha? Who is the one that you ask him to give you refuge? And why? What do you want to achieve? So, tonight I just discussed the first rukn, the first pillar, al-musta'iz. Okay, you may say musta'iz is us, human beings. Yes. But he says al-Musta'idh is the reality of human beings. Is, you can say, our humanity, but there are some points in the process of our progress where ista'adah doesn't apply. Very delicate discussion here. So from beginning of wayfaring, we do ista'adah. Before wayfaring starts, there is no ista'adah. Before wayfaring starts, we are with shaitan. We enjoy being with shaitan. Shaitan is our friend. Even if he's our enemy, but unfortunately we adopt him as friend. There is no ista'adah before the journey starts. When the journey starts, up to fana, self-annihilation, there is ista'adah. When there is fana, when you no longer exist or no longer matter, there are two different interpretations, then there is no ista'adah. In the condition of fana, there is no ista'adah because you no longer exist. Then after fana, Urafa talk about as-sahv, which literally means awakeness. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has passed fana and he has sahv. He has ruju', sahv and ruju'. He has come back to help people. So he is no longer just in fana. There is again ista'adah. Therefore Allah asks even the Prophet to do ista'adah. إذا قرأت بالله فاستعذ. إذا قرأت القرآن فاستعذ بالله من الشيطان. Or قل أعوذ برب الفلق, قل أعوذ برب الناس. So even Rasulullah has to do ista'adah. So he says, رکن اول در مستعیذ است. The first pillar is about who is doing استعاذ. و آن حقیقت انسانیه است. The reality of humanity. From beginning, the first station, the first manzil of سیر و سلوک, up to فنای ذاتی. اذا تم الفناء المطلق هلك الشیطان و تم الاستعاذ. When you reach fana, shaitan is finished. For you is finished. And ista'adha is tamam, means no longer you need ista'adha in this sense. Then he explains. He says, as long as you are in the house of nafs and tabi'ah, you are in the materialistic world, you have not embarked on a spiritual journey, you are under control of shaitan. So there is no ista'adha here, even if you keep saying A'udhu billahi minash shaitan rajim. Without starting the journey, there is no ista'adha. Then when you start, you realize that shaitan is your enemy, and in every station shaitan has different techniques and tactics. You have to be very careful. Shaitan comes in different ways to stop you, to divert you, to distract you, to hijack you. Shaitan has all different levels of plans and policies. It can be shaitan who is jinn, or agents of shaitan who are human beings and some jinns, or maybe shaitan is something that appears as jinn and ins. Maybe it's tamathul to jinn in the form of jinn and ins, or maybe it's jinn. We don't want to go into that discussion. When the journey ends and you no longer are there, then again there is no musta'idh and ista'adha and shaitan for you, because it's only Allah. When there is fana, means only Allah is there, or only Allah matters. maybe what we have in some texts, أعوذ بك منك. Maybe it's for this state of fana. أعوذ بك منك. Not أعوذ بك من الشيطان. What does it mean? It means that I only see you. And I'm only concerned that maybe because of some of my bad things, you do something to me. Like, لا تخشوهم واخشون. I am afraid of your decision to deprive me. Not that I am afraid of shaitan. Of course, because Allah doesn't have any reason to be our enemy, so we ask refuge from him, with him. أعوذ بك منك. Then again, after fana, when there is sahv, there is ruju, there is ons, again ista'adha becomes applicable, not because he is a wayfarer, no, because he is a person that now has a mission, and also maybe we can say he has also responsibility about others. Istaqim kama umirt wa man taba ma'ak. So he has to do ista'adha on behalf of also his nation, the people that he wants to take with him. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ applies to the Prophet and then all of us. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ قُلْ رَبِّ أَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنْ حَمَزَاتِ الشَّيَاطِينِ or أَعُوذُ بِكَ رَبِّ أَنْ يَحْضُرُونَ. So this applies to the Prophet. So he says, in two positions there is no musta'id. Before suluk, because totally deprived, is totally hidden, is mahjub, is veiled, and in the state of fana. Inshallah, in the next session we will talk about three other pillars: al-musta'adhu min, al-musta'adhu bih, al-musta'adhu la'ajlih. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.